Hello, I'm FTX and this is Q&A Saturday, the weekly series I run on my channel where I answer your questions that have been asked over the past week or so across my channel. These tend to be mostly focused on the next Minecraft console update for obvious reasons, but there's also a bunch of other Minecraft and also just real world questions that people have wanted to ask me that I figured it'd be a good time to respond to. So yeah, if you want to ask any questions for next week, remember down below is the best place to do it. I respond to comments from last week's Q&As, so if you want to leave one for next week, then this week is the best way to do that. You know, it's kind of like the proverb of like the best time to plant a tree is last week and the second best time is today. And that's I guess the best way to get a Q&A Saturday question answered. So with that said, hopefully you do all enjoy this video. Like if you do like it, because it helps out the channel, and let's say you do like the weekly back and forth. But let's get straight into the first question already, shall we? Which comes in from the Lego Man 718, who says, actually there is a way to measure intelligence. It's called IQ. Also there's different levels of IQ, such as below average, above average, gifted, and intellectual. You've probably heard this word from memes. I don't know if it's this is American only though, because I'm American. So I wanted to respond to this because I like the idea of like quickly following on from something from last week that either I didn't get wrong or I didn't articulate fully, because I said something like, oh yeah, there's no way to properly measure intelligence, we just kind of like guessed like, oh yeah, this and that, but the truth is there is a way to measure intelligence. Technically it's IQ, which I believe stands for intelligent quotient, right? But basically it's a you know, it's a test which is you know, it's mostly prevalent in America, it's not really done elsewhere. I've never done an IQ test personally, or never a proper one, but the truth is an IQ test sounds like, oh yeah, so what we'll do is we'll measure people's IQ and that's how we know how intelligent people are. And the truth is there's like a little bit of something to that, and you'll work out how good people are like thinking and, you know, solving problems and stuff. And although that's a lot of intelligence, it doesn't quite address everything. And also there's no proper way to measure IQ. If you're curious like, wait, how do we not have a way to measure IQ? How does it even work? Basically the idea is you measure a bunch of people and then you give 100 to the mean score, and then that's meant to be the average IQ, and then everyone else is based on that 100. It's like you know, like grading on a scale or whatever. So you can't have a 500 IQ because of just how humans work distinct to each other. And it basically just means that yeah, measuring IQ is a really flawed system, and even if somehow you could make a test which really nailed it down, then it still wouldn't quite cover everything. And the easiest way to prove this is like, think about how many people are like, I have such a high IQ that you can't get past me. You know, that you see somebody like even the Rick and Morty meme of like, oh, I'd like to find a girl within 5% intelligence points of my own, preferably lower. And it's just like, that is not a smart person. Like, I think the fact that one, you can just lie about your IQ, two, the fact that there's no proper way to measure IQ, and three, the fact that it's just some random number that we base off like 100 being the average, even though if I'm not mistaken, fun fact, in America the average is 99, so you're an extra 1% above average if you're above 100. But yeah, basically my point here is that it's just a flawed system, it doesn't make too much sense, and that's why there's no way to measure intelligence, because we have a way, but it sucks. It's kind of like saying, oh yeah, well, we have a way to carry water from one place to another in our hands, but it's like, well, I mean, if you use your hands, you can't carry much water, and also it drips out, so not really. Anyway, that's it. Let's move to the second question. Just wanted to respond to you, Lego Man, there. Thank you for the question, but let's move on to the second one, which comes in from Troy Key, who says, Q, do you know if the Aquatic update will do, in a sense, reset our existing oceans, or will the experience only be available through new worlds? So they're asking if, you know, like, this is the big question when something big changes, is like, can I do that in my existing world? And to respond based on what we know so far, again, I'll let you know after we know more about the update, but what I'd imagine, based on previous updates and previous stuff like this, all of your water will change. They've even said specifically they want to change every, you know, piece of water everywhere in the world retroactively on your old world. So some builds might break if you have very current water physics dependent systems. However, that then means that you can experience the new water physics. However, if you're talking about new structures and potentially finding stuff like dolphins, because there's going to be stuff like that, or even the new biome, you can't find new biomes in your existing worlds because your biomes are set when you go somewhere for the first time. You can't find new structures in your existing worlds because you're, you know, the world builds, you can't add new structures to an old world because obviously you might overwrite something, and you might be able to find new mobs on your old world if the biome is right and if the conditions are right. So the answer to your question is like kind of half and half. The aquatic part of the update, yes, but if you want new biomes, you can never get that in an existing update. You have to start a new world, or more realistically, because you might be playing on either the Xbox One, the PS4, or any other Minecraft edition with infinite worlds, you can just find a new part of your world and you'll find new water there. So there's the answer to your question, Tricky. Let's move on to the next one though, which comes in from Fiona Martin, who says, Toycat, so will they never create new minigames, and will they create any maps for the battle minigames? So to answer your question, Fiona, yeah, they're not going to be creating new minigames anytime soon is what they implied. Again, this is just from the community manager. They seem to be implying that like in the focus for this year is not on minigames, because that's had a mixed reaction, and you know, like again, I feel like because they're trying to smooth over the gap between the two versions, it's not a good idea. So instead what they're doing is they're working full on the, you know, the brand new survival / creative content. And personally, I feel like, you know, although there's a loss to that, I enjoy minigames a lot. I feel like that is the better way to go. And also, if you're curious about new maps, we might see new maps every now and then. I feel like Battle might get new maps. I think Glide, based on the fact that we've seen nothing for it, probably is done as far as maps are concerned, but I imagine we'll see another battle map if there's like a right time for it. Like when they made the Fallout mashup pack, they made another set of battle maps. When they made Christmas, they gave it another Christmas map. We might see another, like, you know, just single or triple battle map pack, and yeah, personally I think that'd be kind of cool, but I don't think there's much demand for the map packs. Personally, again, we'd have to see sales figures, but I don't think there is much, and that's why that is the case, Fiona Martin. So let's move to the next question, which comes in from Christian Thrower, who says, Toycat, build battle doesn't have to be voting. You could just have a build in the middle of the map and then have everyone try to copy it, like how the game on PC servers works. I think it's called speed build. So the people that can't build quick enough are gradually eliminated until the last few go into the last round, and basically it's a long question about that, like why can't you just do that instead? But the truth is although that's actually one of the ideas, like I wanted to mention, is like that would be a cool way to do it, but even that idea, which is the closest thing to build battle you can do that's objectively right rather than wrong, and even then there's like a few issues of it, the truth about doing a build battle that way is it wouldn't be build battle. The idea behind build battle is you express your creativity, and whoever has the best creativity is the winner. Whoever makes the coolest thing, the most interesting thing, whoever's the best Minecraft builder is the winner. Whereas that game, Speed Builders, it might seem like it's a building minigame because you're trying to copy the build from the, you know, the Elgato in the center, but the truth is it's not a building game, it's a memory game. And you might think, well, I mean, it's about building though, but the truth is there's a distinct difference. Kind of like how, you know, battle is all about like fighting each other and glide is all about flying. I mean, you could add swords to glide, but it wouldn't be like battle, right? It'd still be mostly about the flying, and it's kind of like that in speed build. Speed building is all about your memory, how fast you can do stuff. The other players are inconsequential. Your, you know, building skills are inconsequential. I can do quite well at, you know, the build minigame. I had a lot of fun playing it when it first came out, actually, but that doesn't mean that I'm a good builder, and that's why it's not the same, and why it's essentially making a new minigame from scratch, and again, their intention is just not to do that. So that's your answer to that question. I hope it helps you understand, Christian Fro. I would really love to see that too, but it wouldn't be a replacement, it'd be a brand new minigame, so maybe that'll be the next minigame. I would, you know, I'd vote for that, personally. But yeah, let's move to the next one, which comes in from Inazuma11/Go/Chronostone/Galaxy. I'm always confused when I see a name like that, but let's just go into it, because they say, Q, will Minecraft ever be updated to 2.0? You're the best YouTuber, and you make my day. So I'm going to assume non-native English there, because of the name and the fact that there's, like, you know, like the occasional, like, spelling mistake / grammar mistake. And yeah, so first of all, thank you very much, Inazuma11, should I call you that, for thinking that I'm the best YouTuber. I don't know if that's true, but I really appreciate the nice words like this every single week. But to answer your first question, which is, will Minecraft ever go to 2.0? Because this is the big question people have when they realize, like, wait, we're on 1.2 on the Bedrock and 1.14 or 13. You know, we're about to hit 1.13, about to hit 1.14 on the PC. When is 2.0 happening? And the simple answer is they'll do it at some point, but they want to have like a revolutionary style update, because they don't want to have like Minecraft 2 replace Minecraft 1. They want to make it just be a big new update that kind of changes things and makes it like a new game, but while still not quite being a full-on brand new game. So to answer your question, will 2.0 ever happen? It will happen at some point, but you can't just expect to see it like instantly. And yeah, that's the answer to the question. 2.0 is going to be a big update coming at some point in the future, but not right now. And yeah, it's surprising how many people ask about 2.0, but let's move on to the next question, which comes in from the Pixel Lee, who says, Q+A, will they remove the mob cap on console anytime soon? I wanted to talk about this actually, because I find this to be the most fascinating difference between Bedrock and between Console Edition that really defines the two games. And if you're, you know, curious about why the two games are so different, this is part of the reason. So again, listen in maybe. I mean, I'd hope you're listening already if you're hearing me say listening. But yeah, to answer your question, will they remove the mob cap? No, because the Bedrock and the Console Edition have fundamentally different goals. They're both building Minecraft, but they both have entirely different goals about how to port that Minecraft onto consoles, how to get that, you know, game, which usually is running on like a variable system on the PC that you can have your own specs to, how to get that game to run on a fixed set of specs, i.e. the Xbox, or on the console, on the PS3, the PS Vita, on any device like that. So the Bedrock team, the Pocket Edition team, they believe that like you can just like have the resources to do anything you want, and then it's up to you to limit yourself. So you can do so much, but eventually your game will start to slow down, and that's just an acceptable compromise. On mobile, I feel like people are more used to frame drops or something, so that's something they just accept that. They'll have as many mobs as you want, it's just you'll slow down your own game by doing so. They'll let you have your own render distance, your own chunk settings, and that's just a thing they do. However, the Xbox Edition is more of a traditional console game. Console games traditionally do the system of like, oh yeah, what we'll do is we'll have a fixed set of settings that will ensure the game always runs at 60 FPS. I spoke to Paddy, he's the, like the lead programmer, or like he's the studio head basically basically at 4J Studios, but he used to do a lot of programming, especially when the game was new. And one of his like big goals is like the game should always be able to run at 60 FPS. There should never be a set of situations you'll normally do in survival that will lead to the game going below 60 FPS. And there is some, you know, exceptions to that, but he's like, unless you're doing something really ridiculous, the game should just run perfectly. That shouldn't be your concern, and that's the big difference between the console edition and between the Bedrock edition. So the console edition is never going to remove the mob cap, because that's one of the things they do. They have a lot of clever stuff to make the mob cap go higher sometimes. You know, again, I spoke to programmers about it. Again, I find it fascinating to speak to the guys about this, because it's way more complex than we realize. But the mob limit is actually something that changes. It's based on like so there's actually like 3 mob limits too. So the regular mob limit is based on your, you know, like your frame rate right now, like how much, you know, leeway the game has. Then there's like a different mob limit for breeding. Then there's a different mob limit for like when you find them in the world. They have so many clever systems that go on at place to try and keep that game running stable. And again, that makes a lot of sense for the console version, and that's why you see them there, but not on the Bedrock. On the Bedrock, you'll see your frame rate dip when that happens, but that's something that's more acceptable in exchange for the mod. It really comes down to like, do you prefer gameplay with bad performance potential, or do you prefer perfect performance potential with potential, you know, gameplay downsides? And the console edition decides one, the Bedrock edition decides the other one, and it's something I wanted to get off my chest for a while now, so thank you for listening, Pixely and everyone else. But let's move on to the next question, which comes in from Roxas the Returned, who says, I personally think that the marketplace and minecoins are okay, but whatever happened to the user marketplace where you could share your stuff? Like if other users had made an amazing build, they could see your build and you could share their build, and so on and so forth. What about the user shared marketplace is what they're asking there. Again, it's a big question, and I really appreciate this sort of thing. I read through the whole thing, but to kind of answer the key concern you're asking about there is like, so what happened to the free world sharing? And I think honestly, like, this sucks to say out loud, and no, maybe it's still being worked on by 4J, but the truth is like, if there is one version of the game which has a built-in marketplace, i.e. a way for users to share content, but it costs money, and then another version has that but for free, is that a good look for Minecraft? It makes it look like they just have a paid version of the free thing, but if the marketplace is free and by itself, then obviously it's not competitive. So yeah, if the console edition introduced a free marketplace, it would make the Bedrock look bad, it'd make the other editions look bad, and I think, if it introduced a user share map thing, and I think because of that mostly, you just can't expect to see it. Like, I would really love to see it, but you know, I feel like the whole kind of business side of things, it just makes it impossible in terms of like, why would they? And the reasons are like, well, I mean, it would be good for the community, but like, it would have to be specific to each platform. And then there's this, you know, that's a big issue. Then there's the second big issue, the really, really huge one in my opinion, and that is the fact that the Minecraft, you know, like game, particularly in the last year or so, has been really, really adamant about protecting children. So as you're all probably aware, a lot more children play Minecraft as of the last 2 years or so. I don't know when the exact point would be when it started, but now a significant proportion of the Minecraft you know, player base is made up of young children. Why is that important? Why is that relevant to like the marketplace to look at? Well, essentially, you have to be extra careful about what those children do see in terms of their online interactions. So every server's like covered in like, you know, it's muted by default. There's a lot of steps you have to go through to go on a server and stuff. Any interaction you have with other players, it has to be your friends list on console. If you play battle, there's no way for you to text people, you know, text chat people. They want to make sure there's no interaction that a child can have that's against their stuff, and that would also have to expand to maps. What if you had maps that were covered in like your own personal details for people to message you, and you know, maybe they had like threatening messages in the game, or maybe they were just like giant, you know, really inappropriate builds or something like that? There'd have to be some form of like, you know, community way to sort through that. And given that there isn't one, and given that like, you know, some people might just upvote the stuff that is terrible, yeah, I think those are the big 3 reasons you won't see a user shared marketplace. I'd love to see a user shared map thing with like top maps of all time, and I still feel like they should do that in some way. Maybe again, like, make it so every submission has to be reviewed and you can have one submission like per year or month or whatever. I don't know how you'd have to do it like to make it fair. Maybe have user moderators, but I'd really love to see it, but I don't think it's going to be coming just because of there's technical limitations, there's like safety limitations, and then there's also like, oh, business limitations, which just make it like a very unlikely idea. And I know that's a bummer to be like, well, here are all the reasons it's not happening, but I wanted to clarify because you gave me the big question, so there's your big answer. But let's move on to the next one, which is a little bit happier, which comes in from Ian Ella Campbell, who says, Q, I am American and I want to know, do people actually use those red double-decker buses to get to work, or are they just tourist traps? So first of all, I never like the term tourist trap because I feel like, you know, sometimes things need to be aimed at tourists because tourists have entirely different like goals for a city than the locals do. You know, like there's a lot of things that you can only do as a tourist, and you know, is that a tourist trap? Or, you know, the definition isn't clear. It's just like sometimes I think like if it's aimed at tourists, that's not too bad. But the second thing I want to mention there about the double-decker bus thing, so it's funny because double-decker buses exist in like every country, but only pretty much for tourists, like as a tourist trap, if you will. So you can do a tour around the city, and those exist in London, but most double-decker buses, like there's 600 routes or something, in London, like there's thousands of them, I think. There's thousands of double-decker buses in London that people do use to get to work. I use them to like cross London sometimes. If you're going from like one place to another and it's not covered by tube, you probably take a bus and it's probably a quick way to do things. So yeah, people use them to get to work. In fact, don't ever try to go on them when people are going to work, because they're crowded just as all hell in the mornings and the evenings, so watch out for that. But yeah, people do take buses for work, for all this other stuff, and the idea is like, oh yeah, well, I mean, if it's double-decker, double the space. For some reason, every other country makes them like double as long, but in London, we make them double as tall. And also, it's worth mentioning, they're not just in London. Every major city, even my like not very major city, like just outside London, actually has double-decker buses, like sometimes for some routes. So you can expect them in pretty much every part of London, but they're only red in London, and sometimes they're blue or green or like advert colored. I'm just saying, the red thing part of the red double-decker buses isn't as true, but the double-decker part is just a common type of bus in the UK, and pretty much the UK only. I don't see them anywhere else, but that's just me. So let's move on to the next question, which comes in from Evan, the best 500 savage, who says, Q&A, do you think the Nether will change? And to answer your question, yes, I do think the Nether will change, but I think it will come in a different update. Also, I think we probably shouldn't use caps lock all the time, because it makes it sound like you're yelling, and that's why I've actually banned them from my streams. Hopefully this answered your question, Evan, the best 500 savage. Let's move on to the next one, which comes in from the guy with lots of names, who says, Q&A, should I ask my crush to be my girlfriend? I wanted to answer this one for the end here, because it's one of those things where it's like, you know, some of you are at the age where this advice is going to be incredibly important now, in the future, in the past, I guess hopefully not in the past, but I wanted to just kind of mention, just in case there's like one person I can affect that's not that guy with lots of names, although hopefully you too, but yeah, always do it, I feel like, because you might think in your head like, oh no, the whole school will mock me and it will be terrible, but I feel like the benefits way outweigh the risks in that situation, because one, you're gonna, you know, do something that's kind of scary, and that's like a good training tip and something that will help you in life, and two, if it works, then guess what, your crush will be your girlfriend, and isn't that wonderful? And even if it inevitably, you know, ends at some point, it's like a happy thing to have in your time. So yeah, should you do the, you know, really this question could be, should I do insert thing here that sounds scary and that most people don't end up doing? Yeah, be the guy who can do it, be the guy who actually can, rather than most people who are like, you know, I'm just not going to, because that's how you have a good time, that's how you get ahead, that's how you do the cool things in life. And yeah, I wish someone had told like 13-year-old Toy Cat that, or 14-year-old Toy Cat that, or like whatever age Toy Cat that, because it would have helped me out. So there you go, passing forward the advice, hopefully it helps you and anyone else listening. But anyway, with that said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like if you did like it, share if you liked it, subscribe if you're new around here, and make sure that you turn on notifications, hit that bell if you like Q&A Saturday, because it's a good way to see these videos every single day on your homepage. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.